I'm here today with a spirited and entertaining contemporary bassist, a talented recording artist with 11 albums under his belt, and a creative producer, Bryan Anderson. Welcome.
Thank you, Stefan. Oh, man, you're too kind. I might have to send you some money or something.
You were born and raised on the west side of Baltimore, and I believe you have a quote that says it's the birthplace of your musical journey. Take me through that. Where did it actually start, and how is it that West Side Baltimore is what made you as creative as you are today?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was born on the west side of Baltimore, and it was just the community and the neighborhood. Where I grew up, there was always music, and 2 doors down from me, there was a band that practiced in their basement all the time. Now, I'm like 10 or 11 years old, and I would be playing with my friends. You know how you go out and play with your friends.
Yeah.
And then I would hear the band practicing. So I would leave them and just go sit in the windowsill where the band would practice. And that's what got it flowing for me, man, just watching these guys, and they would never shy me away or say, "Go away, kid," or anything. It would be hot. It would be summertime, so they would have the window open. It wouldn't be, "Hey, man, you're blocking the air," or anything. They would let me sit and listen. And every time I would leave my friends, stop running around, and just sit in that windowsill.
What kind of music were they playing? What were they? What kind of band were they?
The band was called Albatross.
Okay.
And it was. I found out later some funky kind of bird, but it would be funk, R&B, the music that was going on in that era. So it was
Right.
funky music. It was upbeat. The tempo was great, and I just gravitated toward that music. Not to mention that around every corner there was a band. There was always a band playing somewhere.
Oh my goodness.
So you could walk around the street, and I grew up on Buford Avenue, and I have a CD titled Buford Avenue. But you could walk around the corner, and you hear some drums playing, and then you'd hear another band if you turned another corner. So that's what got me, not to mention the music of the 70s.
Right.
My favorite era. It was all live performance. There were no drum machines and all that stuff. It was all live.
Yeah.
And you not only got music, but you got a performance.
Yeah. I go back in that time in my head, and the performances were almost what made the show. The song, the music, the beat, it had your inside, your soul, your heart going. But your eyes were focused on everything that was going on. People didn't just stand and sing at a mic. They moved, and they got you moving, and it was all part and parcel of the songs. I look at some of your influences, Spyro Gyra. I actually watched some of their videos, and I see with them, because they do jazz, they do punk, they do R&B, or funk, not punk. Funk and R&B, and I see influences. I do see how they've influenced your music, because you've got that funk and R&B feel to things, and it's very, very organic. You've got a rhythm that people can just sort of move. As soon as you start playing, you can see people in their chairs, when you're in the small club that I've seen videos of you in, people are in their chairs and they're moving. As soon as you start playing, they start to move with the music.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what got me hooked. Spyro Gyra, to this day, still one of my favorite bands. In fact, I have a song called All Day. And sometimes people listen to that and it's like, is that Spyro Gyra? Because it has so much of my influence on that song. And I love, as you said, I love the intimate places that I play, because you're connected to the audience. You're right there. And then you make eye contact, and you sometimes I would love to go out in the audience and just sit next to somebody and play. It's that intimacy that I love about performing.
Yeah. So I've noticed, I've watched the videos of you playing in different venues, and I don't see nerves. I see somebody who's sort of very relaxed, very into the music, very, very there in the present moment of just playing the song and being a part of that sensation that he's pushing out into the audience and sort of feeling what they're giving back. Do you ever get nerves when you're doing stage performance, when you walk out?
Oh, man, always. And my wife says, well, you don't seem nervous, because I don't like to eat before I perform. I don't care what time, because I get so nervous about it, you know. And people say, "Well, you don't look nervous. You don't act like." Like you said, once the music starts,
Right.
I'm okay. But it's that anticipation. So yeah, all the time, you know, and that's happened all the time. But once I start playing, I'm comfortable, and we're into the music, and we're good.
So the nerves, is it that you're worried about making a mistake, that worried about whether the audience will like it, or is it a sort of that giddy, heightened adrenaline rush that I'm going out on stage and I'm playing? What is it for you?
It might be all the above. It's an anticipation right before, especially if it's a new place, a new audience. You
Right.
don't know what to expect. But then I have to think about it. Hey, my name is on the poster. They are actually coming to see me.
Yeah, okay.
And then that makes it better. So it's like, okay, I'm cool now. I'm good now. You look out in the audience and you see someone making eye contact, and they start to pat their foot and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I'm good now. So the nerves are there initially, but right after that, I'm good.
So the music, is it when you're playing, do you get mechanical when you play in the sense that you think about the songs that you're playing and where you're going to have your fingers, or do you lose yourself in the music and it just is a matter of looking around the audience and seeing how they're responding? Your brain, that piece of focusing on what you're seeing, is out there, but the rest of you is just sort of into the music. You don't think about what you're playing. You don't think about the notes because it's become second nature. How is it for you?
Most of the time, it is because we've rehearsed these songs, we've played them for a long time.
And
Now, if it's a new song, it might be. I need to think about, remember where to put my finger. Who never played the song before? But most of the time, we've played all the songs for a long time. My band have my drummer, my keyboard player. They've been with me for about 13 years now.
oh my goodness.
So the sax player, he's been with me for about 7.
Right.
So we rehearse these songs. They have the music. If I throw in something new, maybe okay, I got to remember, put my fingers here. But for the most part, you know, my fingers know where to go. It's just about the audience participation, seeing
Right.
what's happening. Now, if I see a whole bunch of people just staring at me and saying, "Hey, what is this guy doing here?" Okay, that might be an issue. But you make contact almost immediately.
Right.
Because you see people, they're enjoying themselves, they're leaning in, then they're like, okay, we can have some fun. You know, I can relax now.
I have to ask, I mean, you've been with your band for 13 years, right? Or is it longer than that? So the players that you've got, you have 2, 13, and your saxophonist for 7 years. Before that, were you doing any session work?
No, I've never really been a session player. I've done a few sessions for people early on when I lived in San Diego. Usually when I was producing somebody else's music, I might do
Okay.
something like that.
Right.
You know, it's pretty much, I've always been focused on making my music, sitting around here with the bass in my hand and coming up with ideas. The next thing you know, I'm working on a song. So session playing has never really been my thing, never been my forte.
The people in your band, when you're doing the work, do you prefer to play it live, or do you prefer to do the recording? Which one for you is that heart and soul piece for you? You know, where you're either in the studio and you're refining it to make it sound absolutely perfect, or do you prefer just let's get it out there, let's get it in front of the people, and let's push it out and see how they respond to it?
Oh, I 100% like playing live. Usually I've already worked on the song. I've already recorded the song.
Right.
So, you know, getting the musicians in, I like for them to put their own stamp on what I do. You know, if it's someone outside of my circle, someone I hire as I'm producing, I hire them because I know what they're going to do. The people I've been working for have worked with me for years, so they know what I like. You know, if I get a keyboard player who doesn't play with me in my band, if I send a track out, he'll always say, "Oh, Brian's going to want some organ on this." you know, they all know what I like because they've been working with me for years.
Right.
So we're talking 13 years worth of music. So I hire them for what they bring to the table.
Have you found at any point in time when you're playing live, somebody, either yourself, you get into that mood, or one of your other players decides they want to do a little improvisation, they want to take it just ever so slightly in a different direction? Have you ever run into that experience or allowed that kind of experience?
I encourage that. I do. Because I tell people all the time, it's not about the bass. It's about the music.
Right.
Encourage that. And we don't, we never play the song live like it's on the record. So they would have to wait for cues from me. So when you come to my show, you're not going to hear it exactly how you hear it on the record.
Okay.
Because I call the cue. I say, okay, this is time for a change, and I'll give a look. I'll give a look at the saxophone player and say, okay, it's your turn. I'll give a look at the keyboard player because we know the form of the song. So we don't go away from that. It's just how long you want to play your solo. Sometimes they'll give a nod, like I'm done now. So we go back into the head of the song. So I encourage that. If you watch some of my live performances, you will see a guitar player just step up in the middle, or a saxophone player step up in the middle and go and play. And that's what makes it live.
How do you get that with your band, with the new players that come in, to make them feel so relaxed and so, I guess, capable and empowered to just walk up and do their piece impromptu way?
I make them comfortable. You just use the word. It's like we're not going to dress the same way. We're not going to have the same look. I let them know ahead of time that, look, my music is just chill, just like me. It's relaxing. So I I open that up for them, that they have this environment. It's not like, oh, what if I want to do this? Go ahead and do it, man. That's how it comes out. So I let them know ahead of time. There's no regimen. You know the song. You know the form of the song. Let's just have fun and see where it takes us.
Oh, it's fantastic. Your first album, if I'm not mistaken, we talked about your first album, and you said that you had some difficulties getting it out there. You had a quote from a book: "Don't spend money on something no one wants." I believe that was something that you said to me. Is that related to the first album, getting it out there? That you weren't sure whether you wanted to spend the money on putting it together and getting it out there?
Right. Well, my thing was I learned that I didn't have an audience yet. I was just in the basement making music.
Oh.
And then it was like, okay, I'm not playing anywhere. I'm not performing. What am I going to do with all these CDs that I just had made? So I learned that you have to build your audience before you spend the money to put out for all this music and CDs. So I was a little nervous about that. Hey, I hadn't been playing. Nobody knows who I am. I'm just this guy making music in my basement right now. So yeah, that was the thing about it. But then eventually, people started listening and it started getting out there. But that first initial CD is like, okay, I made all these CDs and no one knows who I am. I don't even have a band yet.
You didn't have somebody sitting in the window listening to you playing?
No, I didn't have that. It was me and the drum machine and the keyboard and stuff like that. So, but like I said, you grow and you learn and you meet more people and you have more opportunities, and it's the learning curve, and you learn as you go.
Has your earlier work had any kind of inspiration for the newer stuff, the later albums that you produced, or are you creative in a way that you try different things every album? You don't look at the past. The past is, I've tried that. That sits there as an icon on its own, and each album is an individual piece of work that you go, that's on its own. Now we're going to try this kind of stuff. Which way do you work? Do you work by looking back and saying, yeah, I like some of this, I'm going to try a little bit more of it?
Yeah, I don't think I make a reference to the older music. Everything evolves from what I'm doing at the time. If I pick up my bass and put on a drum beat, whatever comes out of that, I move forward. So, and that's my process. If I hear a little something, if I hear a little horn part or something, if I hear a melody, that's how the song comes together. It's not like, oh, let me see what I did last time and bring something in from that. Right. Every song kind of sits on its own. It evolves on what I'm working on at the time.
Right. And has other musical influences brought something to the table? Like if all of a sudden you heard some Creole music, you're out somewhere, maybe New Orleans, you're traveling and you hear something that's different from stuff that you've heard before. Does that influence the work that you're doing? You go, hey, I really like that beat, or I really like that sound. I want to drag that into some new pieces because I like that. That sounds different. I want to bring that in. Does that happen to you at any point in time?
Oh, yeah, because I'm always listening. I'm always listening. If I'm out if it's a festival, if I'm not playing, I don't know anyone. If there's music, I'm always listening. So even if I put on something that's not mine, because I tell people all the time, look, I'm a fan first. I'm always listening to what people are doing. And it may be an influence. You may hear some Latin influences on some of my songs. You may hear some Caribbean influence on some of my song. So, yeah, because I'm listening. Ooh, that sounds so nice. Oh, I like that. Okay, let me go home right now. And sometimes I will pull out my phone and just record a little something. Just a melody that I'm hearing in my ear, just based on what I'm hearing somebody play.
Right.
Oh, I hear a different melody. And then when I get home, I bring the tape recorder out, and this is what I'm hearing. I pick up my bass, start a little drum machine. So absolutely, I'm always listening.
So that's the creative process starts for you with listening. Do you at any point in time, what I'm trying to get is to walk me through your creative process in the sense that where does it start? And then how do you evolve it? So I know the drum machine is part of it because you like to have that beat in the background, but where does is it an idea in your head? Is it a sound that you bring and then you try to replicate on the bass or with the drums? You get a beat going that you've heard and that starts. Walk me through your creative process. I'd love to hear about it.
Okay, this is my process. Let me say I hear a melody in my head. I'll come home and I'll try to record it if I can. So you don't want to lose it because sometimes you just lose it. I may hear just the melody, and I'll come home and I'll pull up my keyboard and I'll just start working on the melody. And you got to have a backbone, so you have the beat. Then I'll start playing the bass, and I may just have one part of the song. I may walk away from it for a while and just have that one part, that one short melody. Then I'll come back to it again. And once I have maybe 3 or 4 minutes, I'll just put just the structure, just the melody, just the bass line. It may change later, and I'll do that. And then if I hear a horn part, in my system, in my work DAW, I'll play the little horn part. Of course, I'm not going to play it, but I have access to playing something like that. And then once I have the structure, I will bring in the players. It always starts with bass. I'll have the drum machine, and then I'll bring in the keyboard player. I 99% of the time always start with the keyboard foundation, just the underlining foundation of the song.
Right.
And I may walk away from it. And then if it's not my band here, once I know what I want, once I have the melody, if I want to, it's always next. Usually you'll hear most of my song has sax players on it. So I'll have the sax player. And I don't tell them in terms of what solo to play. They'll have to structure the melody. And then this is where I want your solo. This is where I want you to come out. This is where I want your next solo. This is where I want you to come out. So I piece it together.
Okay.
There's another instrument. Lately on my songs, I've been falling in love with trumpet a lot more.
Okay.
The last 2 CDs you've heard, there may be saxophone, but there's going to be some trumpet.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is where you can come in with a solo. Like I said, these guys have been working with me forever. So I'll let them put the solo. I don't give them any direction for their solo because it's their solo. As long as it fits in with the framework of the song. Right. And 99% of the time, if we're not all in the same room, I always do drums last because the drummer is listening to what everybody else is doing in the song. So my drums always come last.
Yeah.
And then, maybe percussion before drums, because the drummers that I work with, they're good listeners. They know what to accent, what to put here, what to put there. And that's my formula. I may make a little change here and there. I didn't like this here. And I always ask for 3 samples, 3 or 4.
Right.
And so I don't have to tell them anymore. Well, Brian's going to want 3 or 4 different solos here. And I pick and choose at the end.
Right.
What I want.
Have you ever had an influence that bang, the song changed just because of a set of notes that you heard? Halfway
a lot of times. Absolutely. A lot of times. I think sometimes the listeners don't realize the process that you go through. Once they hear the song, they're like, oh, that's great. But there have been times like, oh, that sounds so much better than what I had in mind. We're going to change this up a little bit. So that happens maybe 20% of the time.
Oh my goodness.
The 80% it goes the way I intended it. But
Right.
there are always a few times like, oh, that's so different than what I thought. Let's switch it up to this. So that happens, absolutely.
Has there ever been a situation where you've heard something and I went, oh, I was almost finished the song and this makes the song so much better, I got to make a change?
It rarely happens. Usually once I've gotten all the guys in and I hear what I really wanted to hear, I'm done with it. But I won't say that it has never happened, but it rarely happens. So usually when I'm at the end of the song, I'm done. So it just tweaks here and there.
Right.
And sometimes I've gotten at the end of the song and decided, no, I don't really like that. I've taken some parts out, but
Right.
it's too much. Because sometimes you can just get carried away. When you have access to a whole bunch of things,
Right.
sometimes I've taken stuff out and made it less. When I've enjoyed the first part of it, then it was more. I'm like, no, that's a bit much. Let's take some parts.
I've listened to some of your interviews, or pardon me, your podcasts, and I recall you saying something about you doing revisions. So you take an original song and you're changing it. Have you done that on a number of occasions with any of the newer albums that you've got?
Well, it's funny that you should say that because I am working on a CD called Revisited. Absolutely.
Ah,
And I'm taking songs that I played maybe early on, the first 3 or 4 CDs, when I didn't have any experience, when I didn't have access to the musicians I have access to, some of them when I had just drum machines.
right.
And I have access to new people now. So I am revisiting them with a different approach and knowing more and having access to different people and more musicians. I'm switching it up. Like you said, I'm keeping the same vibe of the song, keeping the same beat, the same melody, but adding new musicians because I have access to more musicians. Just in the process of mixing one of the songs from my Without the Word CD, there's a song on there called One More Time. And I'm almost done with that song. It's called One More Again. So I'm doing that. And it's turning out great, at least, in my opinion. It's turning out really nice. So I'm excited about sharing these songs, updated versions of what it was when I first started out back in the early 90s.
I'm going to probably when it drops. So when are you looking at it dropping? Revisited?
Well, it's going to take a while. I've gotten 2 done. I've been putting between 8 and 11 songs on the CD.
Okay.
So it'll be a minute.
Bit of work. It's a bit of work.
Hopefully by the first of the year, I'll be done with it.
Are you going to tour with it?
No, I'm actually taking a little break now from playing. Okay. I'm recording, and then I'm trying to replenish, trying to spend some time with family, but I'm recording the music.
Right.
So we'll see what happens after that.
And don't break your foot before you go out on tour.
No, we don't want to do that. But it's time to replenish the body and spend some time with the family. They've heard my music for the past 13 or 14 years every day, 24 hours a day. So I'm doing spending a lot of time recording now.
Right.
And let's see what happens after that.
I'm sure you're going to have a number of your fans listening to the originals and then doing the comparison and seeing how much nuance there is to certain songs. And I'm sure your family is also going to be listening going, yeah, I remember that song. I remember when you were doing that. Yeah. But this one sounds so much better. Yeah, I think we could listen to this one again.
Yeah, here's the thing about it. See, I share the process with social media. I let them hear the first song, and I've always shared the process as we go along. I ask for their input, their opinion about what I'm doing. So I've been doing that for a few years now. I start on the song. I let them know this is the old song. Even with my new music, I've always, in the past couple of years, shared the beginning of the song, shared, what parts I have now. What do you think about it? So that's been my process, sharing it as I go along. And that's been a lot of fun.
Have you had any artists reach out to you when you were doing that process and say, hey, I really like that bit. Have you had any kind of input in that nature, as opposed to just fans saying, hey, really love that piece?
Absolutely. I've had some artists say, hey, I think you need a little horn on that. Or hey, I think my keyboard part would be nice on that. So I get a lot of feedback. It's a fun process. I do. Yeah.
Have you had people submitting audio for you?
Not yet, but I've gotten
Huh?
a lot of suggestions. So, yeah. Or I've gotten a lot of, hey man, my so and so, my organ would be great on that. So we'll see. I always wait until later on in the song till I have more of a structure before I do that. But I have had artists say, hey man, I think you need some of this on there. So,
Well, you should actually ask. Maybe while you're in that process, say, "Hey, if you've got something you want to submit," and then do a fan-based. When you have the time, do a submission that here's fan-based alterations.
that's a good idea. But my last CD, um, I have musicians from all around the world on it because I actually reached out to them because I liked what they were playing on their instrument.
Oh, fantastic!
In fact, this new song that I'm working on, One More Again, I have an amazing guitar player on it that I've been following on Instagram for the past couple of years. And I reached out. He's from Canada.
Okay,
And he's like, I always follow up with what he's doing. And so I reached out to him like, hey man, I like your style of play. I'm going to send you this track. And I did. And he played on it and he's going to be part of the first song.
oh, nice.
I always reach out to people that I like what they're doing. So even with my last CD, Groove Cafe,
Yeah.
I have performers from all around the world on those songs. Mm-hmm.
So they do their work not in your studio, obviously. You send them the song, they do their submission, you put it together, and you're the one that produces and
Yes,
puts it all together. Yeah.
All remotely. I have people from Germany, the Netherlands, the UK, on the Groove Cafe CD.
Right.
I have a guy from Canada on this new song because I like what they've been playing. So
Right.
I reach out and I don't work with just my band. I have people from everywhere that I work with. So
In my mind, that's how music is global. I know there's politics all over the place, and you've got your separation by walls and countries and so forth. But I found music is universal.
it's universal, man. It's just amazing. I love it. The music is the music. Whether or not the language translates or not, the music is the music. It's it's the same notes for everybody. We all get the same notes.
And you did a video of getting a Kiesel bass, and it's personalized. It's got your name on it. How did you manage that one? How did that come about that you got a personalized bass? Because the look on your face, it's like a kid at Christmas. It's like, yeah.
Well, here's the thing about Kiesel. You design it yourself online. You can pick and choose what you want on the bass. So the giddiness is because you have to wait so long to get it after you've designed it. So I designed that bass online and with all the specs and everything that I wanted, the colors and all that stuff on the bass. So it's the anticipation of once you finally have it in your hands.
Right.
It's amazing. So this is the bass.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
And how does it sound? So just out of curiosity, because you designed it yourself, but I don't know if you're a musical engineer to, the impact of the design pieces that you do. Does it sound the way you want it to sound? Is it actually that perfect sounding bass that you wanted?
It sounds really, really good. So you pick out the color, everything, how the knobs are gonna look, and all that good stuff, and it sounds pretty good. Quick story. I moved to San Diego in 2001. Now, Kiesel has always made guitars, but they used to be called Carvin. Now, I lived in Atlanta, and I had a lot of Carvin equipment. Carvin bass amps, all kinds of Carvin stuff.
Right.
So I moved to San Diego. Before we bought our home, we were living in an apartment. And like I do, I want to get out and go around. And 3 blocks up, what do I see? Oh my goodness, I live 3 blocks up from Carvin. So I was so super excited about that. And and then to have them make a bass for me. I mean, they've been making basses and equipment for a long time, but to be that close And finally, when I moved to Charlotte, to decide, hey, oh my goodness, they can make me a bass and they can have my own specs. That's why you saw me so giddy when I opened my Kiesel bass. But it used to be called Carvin, and I have two Carvin basses still.
Yeah.
That I love. So, the excitement about that is just, I was overjoyed.
The fact that you had Carvin throughout the earlier parts of your career, and then to suddenly be able to create your own personalized version, but it's Kiesel now, but it's still for you, Carvin, you carved out your own Carvin, that you made a bass and it's yours, but it's from the company that you really love and appreciate because of the quality of their pieces.
Because you have to wait maybe 4 months or so to get it, sometimes longer and to have it and then finally get it, it's like, oh, Christmas, here we go.
So is bass your first instrument?
Well, it was not bass.
Yeah.
My best friend and I decided that we were going to start playing. I bought a guitar. He bought a bass.
Oh.
After fooling around with it, maybe for a couple weeks, a couple months, I decided this was not for me, and he decided, hey, the bass is not for me. So we just switched. We just traded. I took his bass, he took my guitar, and then it stuck with me from then on. So it's been bass and I still have I have two amazing nylon string guitars. I don't really play, but I will pick out a melody, and I have played it on a few songs. I won't tell you which one. I have two amazing nylon string guitars. I'm a fan of nylon string. They're called Le Patre guitars.
Okay.
They're Canadian, made from Quebec. No. And I love these two guitars. So bass is really my instrument, but I love the sound of a nylon string guitar. Earl Clue, all those guys. And on some of my songs, you will hear a lot of nylon string as well. I have amazing guitar player, Peter Sprague, who lives in San Diego. If you Google Peter Sprague, you'll hear just amazing work from him. He's played on several of my songs because I love to hear that. Yeah. It's usually saxophone or nylon string or piano. Those are normally the main instruments you hear soloing on some of my songs. Fantastic. So to answer the question, it was a guitar. Yeah. I didn't really learn to play it well. So we switched, and bass has stuck with me ever since.
Bass for you is like it's like breathing. It's a natural, and I don't know how you managed to make that switch so easily. Guitar, no, but bass, yes.
Yes, bass is my happy place. Absolutely, yes, I love it.
You can sort of tell you've got them all around you here in the background, which is.
This is my mini recording studio, so this is where I am. So I have easy access to everything here. Yeah.
Do you do any keyboard work at all?
No, I just use it to pick out the melodies.
Okay.
I might pick out the horn parts and like, this is where I'm going with this. In my workstation, I can pull up horns and all kinds of different instruments. So I just use it to pick out the melodies, and I let the professionals come in and play. Yeah. I would love to know how to, I just didn't gravitate toward learning how to play the keyboard. Right. But I wouldn't pick out the melodies on it.
You look like you're sitting at a keyboard because of the way your shoulders are relaxed and the height of what's in front of you. It feels like, and that's not a computer desk. You're sitting in front of something musical. I can see the way.
Yeah, this is my studio desk. So I have my 88 keyboard sitting over here, and I have my little mini keyboard workstation right here. Everything is around me, so I can just swivel around and have access to everything. So,
and the drums in the background, who is that? Where you get your beat? You just sort of bang on the drum back there.
This is my actual drum kit where I use for recording when the drummer comes in.
Oh, okay.
Don't send it out. It's a full drum kit, mic'd up and everything. So if I'm not sending a track to a different drummer, this is where we record drums.
Oh, really? So this is your studio. You're in an actual sound studio here.
It's a small room, but big things come out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just noticed.
I had a full band in here.
Oh, you did not. In this?
Oh yeah. This is my workplace. If I wasn't on this giant computer screen, I'd give you a view of everything. Yeah, this is where everything happens. Like I said, unless I'm sending a track out to drummers, I use a bunch of different drummers. I use my drummer on a lot of songs, but it depends on the song. As a producer, depends on what I'm hearing, who I want to play on the track.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this is where I work. That's why you see everything here.
Well, this is funny because I'm talking to you and I've been focused. My attention is on you as we're talking. But when you started to point out that the keyboard is there, I noticed that you had the keyboard and I've noticed that you've got the bassist around you. And I was thinking, wait a minute. And I see drums. And now I'm looking at the walls and I see you've got the reflective sound panels to quiet the sound dampeners. And I'm wait a minute, this is a studio setup. This is not just his back room where he's got a couple of instruments hanging around. This is a professional studio here.
Yeah, this is my setup. I mean, it's all soundproofed and everything. All my monitors and everything's in here. And you're right, this is not a regular desk. This is where all my software equipment and power amps and all that good stuff. Everything is in here. So yeah, this is where I work.
That's phenomenal. For me, this is where I interview. This is all I have is a picture, and I have a tree. If you watch all of my interviews, picture, tree. The original interviews, I think I had a palm, and the palm died, so I had to get this. That's my work. I wish I had more, equipment things around me to make it more interesting, but I don't. And I feel embarrassed seeing the quality, the level of equipment that you have around you. It's sort of, boy, do I feel like I don't have enough.
That's okay. You have just enough to do what you do. So absolutely.
Well, I have you. That's all I need, really, is to have somebody talented, skilled as you across from me. That's what makes my work worthwhile. I don't need me. I have a face for radio. You have the talent and skill that you do, and that's what makes you as good as you are. But I have a question related to way back in the day. Did you receive at any point in time in your life advice that has stuck with you through all of your albums, your 11 albums, through all the work that you've done? Is there anybody who said something to you that has carried you forward, that has made an impact on the inside of you to say, you know what, this is where I've got to go. This is my focus. This is what I'm going to do because I heard this or I received this. And then you take that information and you've given it to other people as well because it's had such an impact on you. Has that ever happened to you? Did you have that early on? Well,
yeah, and I can't attribute it to one person. There were a few people who said the same thing. And This was the advice that they gave me. It's like, it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. Yeah. Now, and I use that all the time. Now, the modern day vernacular is this: if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Yeah, I like that better.
Yeah, like so that's what they say now. But it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So it's like, always be ready because you never know when you're going to have to be ready. Yeah.
It sounds, the second way you said it sounds so much more Bryan Anderson to me. I do. Be ready so you don't have to get ready. That Absolutely. Sounds like you. It's almost like an intro to one of your songs. That's
say, what they say today. I can't get it's not for me, but it's what they say now. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So that's it.
That almost sounds like
been good advice. Like, okay, be ready, just in case.
It sounds like one of your songs titles. Be ready, stay ready. That sounds like something that you have, right?
You may have just given me an idea for a new song. Absolutely.
Time to get the keyboard going. Okay, we got some tunes that go with "Be Ready." I like that.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Don't be surprised. "Be Ready" might be my next hit. Give you credit for that.
Oh, please, no, it's all you. I'm just simply reiterating and what I hear. But no, you have the talent. You have the quality of your work. To which, before we start to play it, I want to talk to you about the video that you did for the song we're going to be playing, Nice and Easy. I understand that it didn't happen the way you wanted it to because you started it with the idea, oh, maybe I should make a video. What should I do? Walk me through the trauma that was the video that finally turned out into something absolutely beautiful. Walk me through that.
Well, here's another thing about that. See, you never know where a song's going to go. That song was originally called 3:30. You know, people always ask me, where do you come up with these names? Well, I looked up at the clock and I was working on this song at 3:30 in the morning. And so, and it was so relaxing. I was like, oh, that needs to be called Nice and Easy, because that's what it evolved to, Nice and Easy. And once the song got together, the person you hear in the background, there's a little scat in the background. This is one of those things where the person is in Germany, who is a marvelous keyboard player and singer. And I loved her voice so much that I reached out to her. It's like, I had originally done the backgrounds myself. I'm like, well, it would sound so much better with this person. So I switched it up. It's one of those songs where I'm like, no, I'm going to take my voice off of it and put her voice on it. So she agreed to it. And that's how I got the background. It changed the name of the song. This is not working. And then it evolved into this amazing song. And I'm like, I need a video for this song. So I found an amazing person, a young lady who had just graduated from the School of the Arts here in Charlotte, who just happened to be a friend of my daughter's. I'm like, okay, you would be perfect for this song. And so I had picked out a venue and everything for it. The venue ended up not being available. It was hot, and it was just not the right venue outside in a local park. So I'm scrambling around trying to find out where I'm going to do this video. Didn't really have the money for the video at the time. I exhausted all my resources and all this stuff. But then the Arts and Science Council here in Charlotte came through for me. Gave me some extra money. The last minute, I found the venue, had a great videographer, and it all worked out at the end. And then you have the song and the video, Nice and Easy, from my latest CD.
Well, before it worked out, one of the venues you were going to go with, wasn't there a storm for 2 days?
It did. You know, it was hot and it rained and there was a storm. I'm like, we can't do this video here. So I found the indoor venue. And it all worked out at the end. So
yeah, the look and feel of the video is phenomenal. If people get a chance, they need to watch it. I'm hoping my producer's probably going to have it playing on the TV station as well. But for now, for the audience's privilege, the creative talents of Bryan Anderson with Nice and Easy. Enjoy. wow, that you put this together and you had, the powers that be throwing lightning storms at you to say, wait a minute, pause. This is not what you're supposed to do.
It was just bad. And I had wanted to do it at that park because it's a very cool park. And then it was hot, and then the storm, and
it's the voice of the machine telling you you've got a better place to put it, and where you did it. It seems so. It's theatrical. It's really why you should submit it for an award. It has that quality to it. So
thank you. We ended up finding an amazing dance studio. So
yeah, no, it's beautiful. Absolutely, it almost looks. It looks antique. It looks, the quality of the location. It's not a modern location. It's a very vintage location, and it fits the music so well. If it had been modern and stark, I don't think you would have had the same feeling, and it has that natural organic feel to it that maybe even a park would have had, right? There's no trees,
yeah,
but it still has that very nice flow to the building, the structure. And then of course the dancer is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a very old building, which was perfect. I mean, really old dance studio. So
yeah,
it turned out really nice.
Well, I want to thank you, Bryan, for speaking with me today. It was an absolute sincere pleasure talking to you. Definitely looking forward to your new release for Revisited. I believe that's what you said its name is.
Stefan, that's what it's called now.
Oh, that's true. That's true, because it could be 3 p.m. or 3 o'clock, pardon me, and it may change too. Nice and easy.
Change. But I hope you got everything you wanted. And I so appreciate you taking the time to speak with me.
Oh, no. It's my honor, my pleasure, because as I say, I absolutely love your music, and I am definitely looking forward to what's coming out, the new work that you're doing, and the piece that you may do. And I can't even remember the name that we gave to it.
You may, I would make sure you get a full CD copy of it.
Absolutely. That would be my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. This has been fun.
It has. Thanks, Bryan.
I'm going to make some music now.
Oh, okay. I'll let you get to your music. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye for now.